And Will, man, hey, don't beat around the bush. Let's talk about it. They know what they're here for. Preseason week 1, Washington came up just short, 23-21 on a last-second field goal to Carolina. And Will, I'm going to tell you, I know it was just preseason. I know this was just the first in many, 3 games, and then obviously into the regular season. And to many, it does not mean much. But I was excited. I liked what we brought not just because my guy, who we will talk about later, but I liked what we brought because there were certain situations that I might have, frustrated me, which we'll bring up, but then other people stepped up. You know what I mean? I got what I wanted from the first team. I got what I wanted. So talk to me. What were your thoughts after the game? Does it matter that we lost the game? Like, where were you after that?
Well, does it matter that we lost the game? No. Not one bit. And I honestly, when I sent you and Mark, our guests from last week, me singing Hail to the Redskins, I honestly thought the game was over. So I didn't watch the game-winning field goal for Carolina. We scored the touchdown. I was like, oh, that's fun. That's awesome. That's exciting. Okay, I'm leaving. Yeah, and I was like, well, this is over. And I was like, and I was wrong. So, there's some good things. They fought hard. They came back. They were listening to the Doc Walker in the booth. He was inspiring them, I think, to keep playing so hard.
And we're going to bring this up a little bit later, but I do want to ask you about this because I think we had differing opinions on how Doc Walker called the game. What were your initial thoughts? And I'll tell you where I stood.
So I actually didn't get it. I got the Carolina Panther local one. Living here in South Carolina. So I didn't get to hear it until there was a replay the next morning. I was up at 5:30 a.m. on Sunday. My kid was up. And so they were showing it on NFL Network. So I got a chance to hear his fourth quarter. So his fourth quarter to me was exciting. All right. And I heard I was listening to the Kevin Sheehan show and they were praising him. And but I'm with you. Doc doesn't do it for me a whole lot. I think he's better on the sidelines.
Yes.
But I defer to you and Ab and what you listen to and your thoughts. I probably am more in line with you all.
And when we bring Ab on later, I will have him share his thoughts because him and I felt like we're kind of on the same page. Listen, what you heard in the fourth quarter was when he kind of came back to life and was like, yeah, all right, now we're getting back into the game. But, bro, when we were down, because ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who don't know, we got down at one point, I think it was 20-6, and it wasn't looking great. Again, preseason, so how much can you really put into it? But he was out here on all the calls, like every single play was life or death. Like, they are playing football. This is not what I want to see. Like, coming out at halftime, mind you, it's what, 10-6? Like, it's nothing. We're really not that far behind. And he's talking about we lost that first half. They came and they served us. They kicked dirt in our eyes and they kicked us while we were down.
So dramatic.
I need to come in this second half and they need to show me something. And so every single play that we had on the drive on offense, he's like, somebody needs to step up. Somebody needs to be the hero right now to show me what's going on. And then on defense, he was like, we're letting them get. That's too much. That's too much. And shout out to Albert. Albert's like, that was 3 yards. But that's 3 yards too many. And I'm like, bro. Now look, for an old player, somebody like that's a coach, that's hard-nosed, grit. I'm with that. Let's go. Let's go. You know what I mean? But at a certain point, it's like, man, come on. Look. I know the game, just like you know the game.
Yeah.
This ain't it. Like, this ain't the Super Bowl, man. This is the first preseason game. You don't need to get. I respect that you're excited about the game being back, but this is too much. All right.
Yeah. No kidding. That is too much.
Oh yeah. Look at that, Mr. Moral support himself, Anton Benton. What up, Anton? How you doing, buddy? Yeah, buddy. But yeah, so people in the comments, let us know how y'all felt about the game and whatnot. And we're going to kind of break this down because there were positives, there were negatives. But let's go ahead and start with some positives. Will, what were some things that you liked? What are some things that you feel we can build on? Where you at?
So some of my positives. First one, I love the helmets.
Yeah.
First game, we got to see them. I thought they looked sharp. I really like those helmets. So that was my first one. I saw, I was like, all right, I'm on board. The W is growing on me more and more. And I was like, hey, I thought it looked sharp. I actually thought that, I was feeling down when they unveiled the helmets that it was just one gold stripe. I really wanted to have some white contrast in there, like the Redskin helmets were. And then I saw like the Raiders helmets look the same. Just they're very similar. There's a couple other teams that seems to be the style these days. It's just one solid color going through. So I kind of got over it, and I thought they looked good. I really liked our third possession after having we started off cold, then we had the big fumble, then we were able to put a drive together, and it was very methodical. They really just they dinked and dunked down the field, and so I thought that was good. That was a good response by the offense, and I think they had to go out there and do that before you could let Carson sit and let some of these guys sit. Is you had to show, hey, you need to get some meaningful reps in because you just had 5 reps that were not good. So I was really glad to see that. I was actually the other thing I was really happy about was just simply to be playing an opponent and seeing the difference between what training camp is like and when you actually have to bring someone to the ground. Listening to the Panthers broadcast, they got Steve Smith and some guy doing it. Man, they were furious about the missed tackles by the Panthers and how Brian Robinson was breaking arm tackle and all this stuff. And it's like, that's the stuff that you can't see in training camp when they're not bringing guys to the ground where they, the minute the DB's there and gives them a little bump, they let up and stop. Well, look what happens. There's more to it. And we see that all the time, in the games where guys break tackles, guys, get around players who you thought was going to, he's down. So that was good to see. You just got to see some more live play. So those are some of my positives I really like seeing out there. What about you?
Some of mine more overall, and shout out to Anton saying, love you guys, miss joining the crew. Oh yeah. Hey, that green light's always there, my friend. Some of the things that I liked, number one of the things that we talked about when things weren't that great last year, one of the things we can lean on was that we would win in that 4-game win streak. We won the time of possession battle. We did that again, and again, it's the whole grand scheme of the whole team outlook, but we won that, which means we're controlling the clock. We're keeping the ball, keeping our defense off the field, getting a breather. I love that going into the season. That's something that I really I want us to focus on. Another thing, we didn't necessarily win the battle of third downs, but we looked good. We were 8 of 14. You know what I mean? We're coming from a time last year, we were struggled to get a third down, and what I mean? And we needed, some of those things are huge for us that we weren't able to accomplish. So being 8 of 14 on your first, like you talk about going up against the first actual real opponent that's not you, that like one of the things Doc Walker said is this is good because they don't give a crap about you. And they want to kick dust in your face and all this stuff. But it's the truth though. Like it is another team. They're not caring. Kendall Fuller might pull up on if he might get a good hit on McLaurin because he doesn't want to hurt the prize possession. Yes. But the other team, we're not worried about that. So I thought that was huge. And then we won the first down battle. We had 23 first downs in that game. Now, a lot of it came – there was some in the beginning where, we got a couple on the first team, but a lot of it came, obviously, with my
superstar.
My guy that we're going to talk – pay this man, all right? Give him a big max deal right now, all right?
Oh, God.
I see my guy, let's go. But, I mean, honestly, that was something – having 23 first downs, that means we're running the ball, we're passing it, we're moving the ball down the field. And look, I don't know about you, Will, but compared to those first couple series of a year ago, if you can remember the first preseason game, we actually looked like we were with it. It took us to the third drive with the first team, but still that first play of the third drive, right to McLaurin, boom, puts the ball down, goes back to him, and looks right at Carson like, got you. And it was like, okay, click. Brian Robinson came in and started just doing first run was 8 yards. Second run was 6. I think at one point when he was first getting in there, he was 7 yards a carry. He was balling out. And that is what I like to see. We know what we're going to talk about in the negatives, but the positives, hey, we're moving. We're moving. Somebody's not here, our tight end group, we're moving. Right. We talked about some of the people that showed up, but I mean, I was excited because I know this is preseason, but we looked better. We looked like, okay, I can get behind this. We can do some things. You know what I mean?
Right. I agree. Our preseason last year was terrible. There was all kinds of thoughts. We just had to keep saying, "Oh, don't worry about Fitz. It's preseason. Don't worry about it." No, we look bad.
Yeah.
So you're right. There was already some better drives this year, especially that third possession of the game. That was much better. And I saw, not only to your boy, but also with Carson, I saw some zip on the ball. It's been some years since we've seen some zip. And, Carson made a couple throws out there that I was like, oh, we got a quarterback with an arm. He can throw it across the field. Okay, this is nice. You can do a lot more. So, and we'll get into a little bit more with Carson, so I don't want to spoil much. But yeah, I thought it was good to see.
I was excited. I was a little bummed that it took a little longer.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously one of the negatives that we're going to talk about is the reasoning why. But that third drive is what I wanted. The first drive is what I talked about on the last show, is where it was to the point. Let's boom, boom, boom,
yeah,
boom, boom. You know what I mean? Up, moving straight down the field. We had momentum. We gave the defense a good breather. Now we're talking about playing complementary football. And that's something that was all about. But with every positive, ladies and gentlemen, there's also a negative. And I'm going to go ahead and start with this, Will. From a running back's perspective, I have said this time in, time out, year after year. If you cannot hold on to the ball, you will not have a job in the league. In the league, and college, and high school, and Pop Warner. If you have to hold on to the ball, period. That's just what it is. And we know the problems that Antonio Gibson has for us last year. They benched him, and it looks like they did it real early. Second drive into the game, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, he's going down. Looks like he should be down, reaching for an extra 1 yard when he really didn't get much. Certain times you just got to say, hey, plays that bad, 2 hands on the ball and go down. Knocks the ball out right in there, right in our red zone. So they immediately, Sam Darnold goes up and scores, and we're immediately down 10-0. And that's the type of stuff. We go back to the first game we had last year against the Chargers. We were up in that game. We should have won that game, but same situation. Deep in our side of the field, he fumbles the ball. They score a touchdown, and they don't look back. So this is something that we need to fix. Whether we push him out as give him more, where we're both having them run, like give them more time to relax. I don't think this is a coach. I think this is him. I think this is in his head right now. Because when it's happening this early in the season, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. Like, I can't – I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, being a running back. Maybe he's just not with it. Maybe something. This is the first preseason game. This is the number one thing that you need to be focused on, holding on to that ball. Look, and as we've seen, just like with Sam Mills, we talked about him a week ago, things not working, boom, there's the door. I'm not saying we need to kick him out of the team or anything like that, but Gibby, you saw what happened last year. They benched you. They were really quick this year to put him out, and they said, "Oh, we got that third round pick, Brian Robinson. Let's come on in here." And we saw what happened. The rest is kind of history right now. So, that's where I'm going to start with my negatives. I mean, what do you thoughts on that, and where are you at?
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. And Ron talked about it afterwards. You're starting to hear some frustration. And one of the things he said was when he dances, he gets into trouble. Where if he just runs, hits the hole, finds a hole, makes a decision, he gets much more successful. And that's what you saw Brian Robinson do a little bit more, was he didn't hesitate. He just took it and ran with it. And Gibson got in trouble on that play when he was hesitant and he started, kicking his feet around, and he went nowhere. And like you said, he fought for extra yardage that really wasn't there, and the ball got punched out. So Ron's frustrated. He said something this week when he said, the job is up for grabs right now. Okay. And what that says to me, and I actually go back to last year, we didn't realize this, but in the spring, Ron Rivera said, we have a quarterback competition. And the reason why he said that was Fitzpatrick was not good in the spring, and Ron got ticked. And so that's why he said, no, fine, we're having a competition. Heineke has a chance at this because Fitzpatrick was struggling to learn the offense, and it continued throughout the summer. And I think that's what you're seeing. If he's going to talk publicly like that, it's because he's being serious, that he wants to see better play, better improvement. And if Gibson can't do it, thank goodness we've got someone waiting in the wings that can. We talked about how frustrated we were during the draft in the second and third rounds at times when, there were some players available Abs guy, N'Kobe Dean, was available, and we passed twice and got, a running back. Well, I wish we would have gotten him, seeing him play a little bit against Philly. But it's so glad that we've got someone now to come in and spell Gibson, to kind of let him know. I'll be honest, I feel awful for Gibson. He was down afterwards. The players were having to kind of try and pick him up. Leno was over there talking to him. Carson was talking to him because he knows it. He knows he can't make the mistakes. And to show what they're doing, they got him now on punt protection, catching punts now. He was on kickoff a specialist today. Now, some of that kind of bothers me because I'm like, if you got to put him here, why did we not sign DeAndre Carter then? If they said Ron's so pissed off right now with our kickoffs, why did we not re-sign DeAndre Carter then, Ron? You made that decision. But Gibson did do that in college, so maybe he can do something. So obviously Gibson was the one big negative. The other negative I had was our defense in the first couple drives. That first drive, Baker Mayfield drove right down the field on us.
He really did.
And it was the same problem we had last year. Third down, we couldn't stop him. Yeah. So that bothered me, that all those problems we had in the offseason, nothing changed. So those are kind of my two big takeaways: the fumble and then defense.
Yeah, that was frustrating. And I remember at one point when we finally did stop him, he actually had time. Because the one thing I did like is that we were getting a little bit of pressure, and Wise, Evan Wise from high school. Very big difference in size. But Wise definitely played up. There's one that you see where Jonathan Allen takes his guy all the way back into the quarterback, but he still is able to get the pass off and throw the ball. So there was positives, but it was you're like you said, like he just went right down the field on us. He literally just went right down the field. And the one time that we actually didn't get pressure and we gave him time, he threw an absolute duck to nobody. Talk about Baker Mayfield. You know what I mean? So we were helping him more, if anything, than he was helping himself. And then obviously when Darnold came in and got the short field, and we're down 10 quickly. Yep. You know what I mean? That was something that you're like you said, like that was frustrating to me. What also was frustrating to me was kind of in like the repeat of last year, that whole stint after Wentz went out and before the great one, Sam Howell, came in.
Superstar.
Yeah. Heineke was in there. And it was a lot of the same as last year. Like it was like, okay, I like that pass. Oh, here it goes again. Oh, okay, he can run and make that. I think the first play he scrambled out and then made 4 or 5 yards. And I remember Doc Walker was saying, "See, that's the kind of thing we're talking about. He improvised. He makes something out of nothing." And it was like, what? It was. I mean, he blew up. Like he messed up the play. Like I mean, so that it frustrated me because. And look, I don't want to sound like a homer. And once you hear what we're going to say later, you're going to think I'm sounding like a homer. But talk about a QB competition. There might need to be one between 2 and 3. And the reason why I'm saying that is we know the bar. Ab was talking to us about that last year. We know the bar. We know as far as Heineke can throw, we know what he's going to give us. He'll give us, a shot in the arm, and boom, hey, yeah, we're getting excited, we're pumped up. But he has limitations, and they showed. And it wasn't, you're not playing against the ones. You know what I'm saying? You're playing against twos, and you look subpar. And I don't know. I guess I really wanted to see some improvement. I wanted to see Wentz's solid number one. And he did that with 10-13. But then I wanted to see, Heineke come in there and do something and maybe score. Maybe that's what's really kind of bothering me, is that I thought he should have been able to produce and score. But it just really didn't. Like, he was 4 of 9 for 21 yards and a pick. It frustrated me because it's like, all right, how long are we going to give this guy? Like, how long are we going to give this as our now number 2 when we've already picked up who we've seen could be the future?
Well, you wanted to see him show that he's a capable backup. Yeah. And he didn't do a whole lot. I know I sat here watching this, and when you saw Carson throw, and then what was it? Sam Howell's first pass as a commander, he zipped it to the sideline, and I was like, "Whoa, there's a huge difference in those two arm strengths." And then you got noodle arm Heineke in there, And I sat here and go, "Wait a minute, last year when we were on our 4-game win streak, I was sitting here going, he might be our starter. We might have our guy.
You did say that. You did.
I did. And I'm like, no, we don't. So I'm with you. I was hoping to see a little bit more. I'm hoping if he plays better against Kansas City, maybe I'll wear my Heineke shirt next week to kind of give him some props. But yeah, he was a little bit disappointing as well. Absolutely. Yeah. Although it was the receiver's fault in the pick. Someone else, he's got to get open.
No,
I'm just kidding. That was a terrible throw.
That was
an awful miscommunication by those guys.
And hey, that's what it is. But again, that's something I need to see between him, Gibby. Do you want to talk about the negatives? We talked about the negatives on defense. Let's go into evaluation. Let's kind of break down some of the places that we're kind of looking at as far as things we can build on potentially. Maybe break down the actual players that we can kind of focus on and say, hey, okay, I like where we're going with this. What are your some of the thoughts, like overall kind of evaluation of the team and, diving into this? What are you thinking?
Yeah. So I saw the offense went, very safe on Saturday. And I think it was a good way so that, because one, we're not talking about any mistakes by Carson Wentz. To Ab's credit, Armani Rogers made some plays.
Mm-hmm.
The other guy, Curtis Hodges, did not make plays. Yep. He did not impress me out there. That very end of the game, that throw from Howell was a little bit off, but Hodges just didn't show as much, honestly, athleticism out there. He looked to be a big stiff, from what I was kind of seeing. So we were kind of highlighting some shorter routes, shorter passes that were looking good. But, I wanted to see, where the offense is going. I think they're being careful to not show too much, obviously, and being careful to not go deep right now and just do a whole lot, but I enjoyed seeing some of the shorter stuff and seeing who among those young group of tight ends is gonna show up. And right now, I would say Rodgers has got the leading edge on making the 53. Shout out Ab for predicting that early on.
Oh yeah. Honestly, I don't want to overemphasize this, but I got to go to the position I played in high school, running back. Man, it felt so good to see Robinson doing what we thought Gibson was going to do. You know what I mean? Gibson was always a shoestring tackle away from breaking it or something like that. Robinson was busting through. Robinson, if they had tried to put the arm out, he was crushing that and continually moving. I mean, that first run where he was carrying dudes. One run, he sat here and he made a move to the right, and then he literally had a split second, caught it, and then came back to the left. And I was like, woo, okay. And still leaned forward and gained an extra couple yards. And I'm like, oh yeah. We haven't had, even in the year we had where we won the division, Gibby hasn't really put fear into people. And that was when he wasn't fumbling. Now he's fumbling, and that's all people are doing. They're punching it out. They're going for the ball. With Robinson, and so with that, you're starting to think, okay, just go down. You're not even worried about him getting the extra yards with Gibson. You're just like, go down.
Yeah.
With Robinson, it's just like, it's just going through. It was what we wanted, that bruiser. You know what I mean? Again, first week of preseason. But I love that coming from a running back's perspective, coming from the fact that we do like the play action. We do run a lot of this, where jet sweeps and stuff like that. We're running the ball. I loved what the O-line did, and I love what my man B-Rob did. And it makes you look at that third pick now and be like, yes, y'all knew what y'all were doing. This was a great, great pick. Now, you don't want to see that from Gibby, and to have him go as far down as you're talking about punt team, kickoff team, that type of stuff. Okay, the message is sent, not only to him, but to us. Like, hey, you got to play, or your job's up for grabs. So hopefully this puts that fire under him. That's something I really, really wanted to see, as far as, because that running game is going to start the passing game. It's going to open up the receivers. It's going to hold those linebackers. We can start moving our offense when that running game gets going. And look, you talked about last year with, when we had that 4-game winning streak and we thought Heineke was it. One of the things that we dominated on was time of possession. When we played the Raiders, we played the Seattle, we played Tampa, we were getting these W's. It was time of possession. That last drive against Tampa Bay, we had started the ball, 8 minutes left in the go, and they didn't get the ball back. That we drove down the field, time possession, and a lot of that is running the ball, and that's what we need. And Robinson is just, woof.
Yeah, he looked good. He looked really good.
Yeah, and that first touchdown for the Commanders.
Uh-huh.
That was beautiful. I wish I could have continued to appreciate it once they started playing certain things, but it was really nice to see us at least get into the end zone, man. You talked about the defense before. Let's evaluate that. Let's break that down. What there's things we could build on, outside of, that early, where we got bum rush essentially. Second half, and later in the game when we came back, like, what were your thoughts overall about the defense?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't watch the second half of preseason.
Oh, right.
So I can only speak on a certain bit. So I like to focus on the guys who are going to actually make the team usually when I'm watching it. But unfortunately, I didn't see the Jamin Davis splash play I was looking for. I didn't see any plays from Butler, our safety, although he did show that he's got some speed out there. I saw some range, and I didn't see anything of positives from Derek Force. And those are the two guys I really wanted to see, that they're going to get some playing time. So I was looking to see a little bit more of the defense that I did, but backups wise, depth wise, I'm going to have to defer to you to what you saw out there. Some guys making plays, although I did see, we talked about it leading up to it. Daniel Wise was making some plays from the trenches. So I did see him making some nice pass rush, but other than that, I gotta hear what you saw out there.
Well, obviously, for me, it's going to be very, very, very blue and very tunnel vision.
There we go.
I can't. I have to be absolutely honest. I did not expect a lot from Sam Howell coming in that first drive. You talked about that first pass of the zip, but he went out. I think went three and out that first drive, and it wasn't looking the best. Essentially, that second drive he started getting going, but then there's something. We talked about it from training camp and OTAs. When they use the word moxie, you know what I mean? When he went in there, he had command of the huddle, and the guys followed him. And you can see he kind of, again, I ain't trying to jump on this. I ain't trying to sit here and look like a super homer, but he just looked comfortable. He looked like he was going through his progressions. Even on when he went to the first touchdown run, looked right, looked over, scanned, looked left. Okay, boom. Now it's time to run. And then, the wherewithal to sit here and run, make a move. He knew he was past the line of scrimmage, but pump fake? What? And then get in the end zone? What? Yeah. Tar Heels. Let's go. but it was so good to do that. And then even after that, number one thing in my mind is, okay, this is Sam Howell. You got to do it again because Will's going to say it was a fluke. You got to do it again. And then he came right back, did it again, and then got the 2-point conversion. What it did is he was not afraid of the moment.
Nope.
And when you had, Darryl Green talked about it, that sometimes in life there's those right now moments. Now, yes, this is the first preseason game, so this ain't the Super Bowl. But when you have your opportunity to shine, show up. And then when people say, okay, you did it once, do it again, show up. And they did. And he showed up, and I'm so excited to see. It's something to build off. It's something that you're like, okay, let's go, Sam. And going back to Taylor Heineke, it's like, you see what he's doing. Mm-hmm. You seen that Gibson, he got put down on the bench, and his replacement came in with the rookie. I'm just saying, we've already seen that there's something different about this team in the sense that we're not accepting what happened before. It's not going to be here we go again. Okay, it's all of us now believing it, all of us on the same, and we're being held accountable. Let's go.
Right.
That's where I stand. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Well, I gotta tell you, Sam Howell made the game exciting because I did tune in a little bit later on, and I really was interested to watch that final drive from him, and could he lead them back, and he did, and that's awesome to see. The reason why I don't really watch a lot of the second halves of preseasons, but I was glad to see from Sam playing well is. He's up against guys that he was kind of on par on the same level with in college, or he was better. These are guys who, they're going to be backups. They may not even make the team. Like, he is a better player than them. He at one point was considered a first-round pick, the number 1 overall quarterback coming in. So I expect him to play well, in these situations, and I'm glad he did. The other thing I try to be careful when it comes to quarterbacks is I was also a part of the cult of Colt Brennan. And how good did he look in how good did he look in the preseason? And on the flip side, I hated in 2001 Sage Rosenfels, and his very first throw as a Redskin was a pick six, and I blew up out in a preseason game saying, "What is Marty doing? Get this guy out of here!" Sage Rosenfels put together a real good career as a backup quarterback. Yeah. So that's where it's like I try to not get too excited, but Howell had some exciting moments. I saw intangibles out there. I saw some things like you talked about that make it exciting. He's got a strong arm. He's got the ability to run the ball. You really got a chance to see that. So he shows he's got the tools that are worth developing. And that is really exciting to see whether he turns into a really good backup or a future starter. He's got something there. And so you have every right today to be super proud of him and be looking forward. You have every right to be excited. We just also got to remember he was up against guys that he was better at in college. Very and true. He's just doing it in the pros. So good.
Very true.
There's a difference between Robinson playing the starters and Sam Howell playing the third strings, but go ahead.
Very true. But we still need to let him know.
Let's go Tar Heels. You already know what it is.
Yeah, buddy.
Love it.
Let's go. So, that's kind of where we stand. Will, is there anything else that you might have seen? One thing I did not see, and it was funny because Doc was talking about it. My guy out of Michigan State, Jacob Panasek. Did
he play?
He played, and It was funny because Doc was like, this guy has a great work ethic. His practice he's a great practicer and everything like that. But he was like, I think he's really going to show up. He's the guy I'm picking to show up. And he really didn't do much. He didn't do much. He's buried down there far on the depth chart. But that is one of the guys that I had mentioned a week ago that I'm really looking at to see if he does something. And he was really underwhelming. He really didn't do much, but maybe, because where he was, or at least a couple times I saw him, he was on the inside. Maybe, he's doing the little things that are making a difference. I don't know. I'm reaching, I'm trying, but we'll see what he does this coming week. Cause, everybody's on the chopping block. That's the message I'm getting.
Showing it. Ron's ticked. It's good. We want that fire from him. He's been too lethargic on the sidelines.
Okay, but all right, ladies and gentlemen, we brought your breakdown. We're taking too many points from the people that are coming on this show.
I know. And we're so late. We're 20 minutes late for bringing him on. We got to bring him on.
Yeah, we got to get these guys in here. So welcome to Watch Football Weekly. We're gonna be back with you right after this quick little break, and we're gonna bring on our two guests to talk about the in-house experience being in the stadium. And after that first touchdown, they sang a song, and they said it was the same song, but wasn't the same song. But we'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for watching. If you like that clip, be sure to check out the other great content from the Let's Talk Football community. And as always, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when more great content like this becomes available.